Greetings, everyone. Pete Bardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Monday Night Must See TV with the Hudson Valley Squares. We got a huge crew tonight. There's going to be loads of fun. Before I divulge the topic, let me introduce everybody. We got Bryce from Bryce Talks Metal. We got Chris Allo, Steve Keeler, Nick Franco. We've got Rob Lasante. We've got Butch Jones. Welcome, Karen La Preziosa. Hey. Welcome back, Count Ralphus himself, Ralph Tambora.
Ralph.
And Ryan Scow.
The one and only.
The one and only, that's right. So today, for those of you who are on social media, maybe over the last bunch of weeks, you've seen one of these many little like music questionnaires floating around Facebook or the internet where you have various questions about favorite and non-favorite bands and all this sort of thing. So we decided this week here on the channel, we're going to do on Hudson Valley Squares and in the Prague Seat, we're going to all answer those questions. So I'm going to name the questions right now, and then we'll have each person go through their answers. So, band I hate, band I think is overrated, a band I think is underrated, a band I love, band I can listen to over and over again, a band that made me fall in love with music, band that changed my life, band that surprised me. We might have people answering that one a little bit differently. A guilty pleasure, a band that I should have seen by now but haven't, and my favorite band to see live. All right, so everybody has had roughly a week to answer those, and we're each going to go through them now and see what everybody comes up with. So, Mr. Scow, why don't you kick us off with your answers here?
All right, let's get right into it. Band I hate. Sabaton. Fuck them. Terrible band. Hate it. Absolute 0 out of 100 horseshit. Just get that right out of the way. I don't need to beat that horse to death. I've talked about them in the past, but yeah, they're just the worst band on the fucking planet. I'd rather eat.
In your opinion.
Yeah, fine. Obviously, it is my opinion, Steve. Yes, we cover that. Yes, I know it's not your opinion, but yeah, they suck. We don't need to go into that. So the next two I thought were kind of tough because band I think is overrated. Well, there's a shit ton of bands I don't like. I just named one, but just because I don't like it doesn't really mean it's overrated. I mean, millions of people like Bon Jovi. Is Bon Jovi overrated? I don't know. I don't give a fuck, but so I kind of thought of this as a band who's really popular, and I just do not, honest to God, the life of me, don't fucking get it. Don't like them. Don't like anything they did. I've mentioned him before, really poked a hornet's nest, so I'll bring it up again, and that band is Def Leppard. Don't like anything they did. Don't get
anything?
Don't like it. Nope.
Okay, here we go.
I don't have any of their albums. Never will. I've heard them. I've given them a good, solid chance. I've seen them live twice. Once with Mr. Nick Franco, which was more entertaining than the band. Story for another time. I think I've mentioned that a couple times and always said a story for another time. So we'll kick that down the road a little bit. But yeah, they played with Kiss, and then I saw them once with Poison and Lita Ford. And I'll tell you what, I thought Poison blew them out of the fucking water. And I don't even like Poison, but for a live show, I thought they smoked them. Vivian's up there with his little scarf. I don't know.
Hey, now.
I know. I know. Love him and deal, but
hey,
that was not fun. Band I think is underrated. This one was tough too because I don't know. I listen to a lot of underground stuff. A lot of the bands I could say, well, they're underrated. Not a lot of people know them, but
like your shirt.
Yeah, well, the nature of the beast with that stuff. A lot of these bands, they're not trying to be Bon Jovi. They're not trying to be Def Leppard. They're underground metal bands, so they're not going to sell 1 million albums. I don't think they want to sell 1 million albums, although they probably wouldn't mind having the money. But like that's not their goal. What they're going for. But I did have to pick one, and only one, like you guys said, no honorable mentions.
Steve.
So I picked probably my favorite modern American death metal band with a little thrash metal in there. Really obscure, but they've got 5 albums. They just put a new one out. Wow. I think it's great. That's Aries Kingdom from Kansas. Now, I'll tell you what, these guys are an underground band, but I saw them. I've seen them a bunch of times, and I'm seeing them again next week. But I did see them once, and they always like to throw a cover in. And one time I saw them, they covered Atomic Punk by Van Halen. Nailed it. 100% on the nose, solo and all. So one of those bands.
Note to Scow. I've seen that band and on their albums. You can't like them anymore.
I don't know if that's a rule, Steve. I think that's your rule. Yeah.
I think you'll find it. Give it a month.
We'll give it 2 months, right? Yeah, this is a new album. In Darkness at Last. I know it's kind of like feel like old Possessed. Let's see, really early Slayer, like Metal Blade era Slayer. It's a little thrash metal, a little death metal, but great band. This is their fifth album.
Early. That's the same thing.
Yeah, I know, Karen. It's the same. Well, if you mean the same thing that they're both good, then yes. So let's see what's next on the list here. Moving right along. Band I love. Let's pick an obscure band. Fuck, why not? Let's keep that rolling. So one of my favorite countries for metal is Greece. And my favorite band from Greece is a little band called Zemil. And this is their 2006 album. And this band's kind of unusual because they started off as a black metal band, but at some point they started bringing in a lot of 70s prog rock. And the main guy in the band actually is the one who introduced me to the German prog band Eloy. And then when I started listening to Eloy, I'm like, man, some of their newer Zemil albums, I can hear a lot of the synths, a lot of the keyboards, that huge prog rock, a lot of King Crimson in there too, but still black metal. It's a pretty cool mix. So this album's kind of in the middle of that transition. It's black metal. There's some prog in there, classic heavy metal. I just love them, and they don't get a lot of attention. So I said, fuck it, I bring them up. Band I can listen to over and over again. That one was the easiest pick on the whole list. It's Motorhead. I can listen to Motorhead all day, every day. They're good for every mood, everything you're doing. They just kind of fit. I know all their albums are kind of in that same groove for the most part, although the earlier Fast Eddie stuff is definitely my favorite. I think that's probably a universal sentiment. But yeah, there's never a situation where I'm like, yeah, I'm not in the mood for Motorhead. I don't think it's ever fucking happened. And I don't think it ever will. So I just pulled No Sleep off the shelf because it's my favorite live album ever. But yeah, fucking Motorhead is awesome. Band that made me fall in love with music. This probably just goes to my age because I got into music in the 90s. So it just worked out this way. But the first band that really got into when I was like 13, 14, and this is the age where I know Butch can relate to this with his mother buying stuff. My mother bought me this album. It's the band KMFDM, and this is the first album I bought from them, or was paid for, bought because I didn't have a job yet. Is their 1995 album Nil. Yeah, just great band. They're kind of metal, industrial. Like if you're familiar with how 9 Inch Nails sounded, they're kind of in that groove. But they've been around since the early 80s. Like they're much older. They're kind of a legacy act at this point. They got like 20-something albums out. I think they just put a new album out. They actually just played Irving Plaza like a couple weeks ago, but I couldn't make it because there's just so many fucking shows. Yeah, these guys were huge in my. I still listen to them all the time too. Let's see, band that changed my life. That can only also be one band, and it's the first band that got me into metal. It's the reason I know all of you guys. Talking to all you, got real into metal. Probably about a year or two after I heard KMFDM, I heard fucking Slayer. So again, just by virtue of my age, when I got into Slayer, the first album I bought, or actually no, it was bought for me, same deal, was Seasons in the Abyss, their fifth album from 1990. But then I ended up getting everything, became like a fucking Slayer fanatic. So still for years, they were my favorite band. Band that surprised me. This one was tough. Like Pete said, I thought about how to answer this. So the way I answered it was when I was in high school in the 90s, most of the kids in the school that were in bands or, into music were into punk rock. But because it was the 90s, they were into really shitty punk rock, like NoFX and stuff like Rancid. And I don't know, just these bands that I didn't give a fuck about. So for years, I just ignored all punk because I thought it all sucked. I'm like, it's all this 90s pop punk shit. Like Blink-182 was huge. Green Day was huge. I just didn't give a fuck about any of that. And the band that changed that and made me were like, wow, there actually might be something else here was Black Flag. And I got this. I know Karen will disagree with this because she likes the first album more. But I got their second album, My War, first. And yeah, that kind of changed my tune on this. I'm like, wow, this is different. I know one was listening to this. Well, they're all listening like fucking NoFX or whatever the fuck. But nobody I remember listening to this band. I might have had a different outlook on that.
It was a dark time in punk rock.
It was. Let's see. Guilty pleasure. All right, how to answer this one, because this is tough because I don't know. I feel like I don't have any because anything I listen to, I'm pretty free and open about. I don't feel like shameful like I'm listening to stuff where nobody can see me. But you know what? The band I picked, which I do like a lot, got all their albums, is a 90s alternative band, The Cardigans. And this is their album, Gran Turismo.
Didn't see that coming.
I was going to say, you're probably not the only one. You know what? I don't
I've even heard of them.
You know what?
Yeah, you probably.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, they were big in like
If you YouTube
95
them,
or 96.
I was
yeah,
still
they had
listening to
some
too much
big
metal in the
radio hits.
90s.
You definitely have heard them, whether you realize it was them or not. You have, but I don't usually like stuff like this. Like, there's like a million bands in this style from the mid-late 90s, but these guys is the one exception. So I really like these guys. So I guess that kind of counts as a guilty pleasure. The band I should have seen but haven't. It's my favorite punk band of all time. Old punk, old hardcore band, Discharge. Never saw them. They don't play the U.S. often, but they've been around since like 1978. And excuse me, they have played over here a bunch of times in the last, couple of years. It just never worked out that I could see them. And but I'm going to fix that one day because they do still play. They have a newer singer who I think is great. So I've seen live footage of some recent shows on YouTube. So they still kick ass live. And my favorite band to see live, who I've seen probably close to 20 times by now. I've gone to Europe a couple of times to see them. They always kick ass, always have a good show, always put on 110%, is Destroyer 666.
I knew they were going to show up somewhere.
Oh yeah, and it's just a fucking wild show. Again, it's like the energy. They're the only band. I never saw Slayer in 19. That was my dog. Never saw Slayer. I never saw Slayer in 1985, but I've seen a lot of videos. I know some of you have. So you could definitely appreciate the kind of intensity and energy that the band's like. That's how that comes through in the video. That definitely is not a mystery. This is one of the only modern bands I've seen that, from being at many of their shows, kind of gives me that same feel where it's just like feral and intense, and it's just fists and elbows and total chaos and studs and leather and spikes and sometimes a little blood. Yeah, these guys are fucking great. So that's my list.
Cool. All right, let's move this right along.
Yeah,
Ralph.
we got to fucking move this. Let's go.
Chop, chop.
Go. I cannot be here.
Talk fast.
all day.
Chris is the only one that sometimes doesn't remember he's on a show that other people are going to watch.
No, listen, I know there's lots of people watching, but there's what, 3, 6, 9, there's 10 people here. If everybody does 15 minutes, that's way too fucking long of a show.
If you let me go, I'm going to do lightning pass.
We should just do a show one week, Pete, where we just put our list up. Just take a picture of the list and you just scroll and look at them, and that's the show.
I will keep mine in under the 5 minutes. I guarantee you that, Chris.
There you go.
Sounds good, Steve.
I'm gonna read it off like a commercial.
I want to hear that. I'm all ears.
I'm ready to
Ralph,
go.
what do you got, Ralph?
All right. Band I hate. When I was a kid, I went to a concert and this band throwing books out at the crowd. One of the books hit me in the eye.
Really?
I picked up the book and I bring it outside and I lit it on fire.
Wow.
I swore I'd never listen to anything that was like that again. And that band, Striper.
Striper?
I knew that was coming. What band
I was
throws
gonna guess.
books out?
That's what I said was the Bible, right?
Yeah, it's the only band that throws books.
That's a made-up story, though. I would never be caught dead at a Striper show, but it's overrated. I'm gonna go with Rammstein, and it's not a band that I hate. I just can't believe a band singing in German is playing stadiums in America.
Good point.
I like some of their stuff, but I just can't understand why they are so big. I mean, I get it; they've got the big stage show and everything, but it just blows my mind that they're so popular. Band I think is underrated. They formed in 1985. Macabre.
Okay.
Photograph room copy. They every song is about a different serial killer. They even have a whole album dedicated to Jeffrey Dahmer. They're just such an underrated band. They should be so big. They're so heavy for the time. When I first heard Dennis the Menace on drums, I couldn't believe it was somebody really playing that fast. I heard them for the first time in '87 after hearing Rain and Blood. I thought that was the limit. It's how fast you can play and stuff. But then Macabre came and things changed from there. They're one of my all-time favorite bands. Band I love, I have to go with my number one band of all time, Black Sabbath. Band I can listen to over and over again. I picked a band that only has 2 albums. I'm wearing their shirt, the Carnivore.
Nice.
I also have this. This is pretty rare. There's only 50 of these made. It's their demo on a 10-inch.
Nice.
Band that made me fall in love with music. When I was a kid, I have an older brother, and he had an 8-track player, and he had Beatles and Rolling Stones and stuff. And my mom was born and raised in Liverpool, England, so we had always had Beatles in the house. But my first album that I ever asked my parents to buy was Kiss Alive 2. And to me, they were the perfect. I was a monster kid and comic book kid, and then, to have a band that personified both of those things. Gene Simmons with the blood on the cover. That was it. Once I got that album, I never looked back, and it's just been in love affair with metal and hard rock since. Band that changed my life, I have to go with Motorhead.
Yeah.
Picture of me with Lemmy from '99. There was a lot of bands I could have put in that category. Metallica, Slayer and stuff, but Motorhead was the first of those bands that sort of made sense to me. Like, it was more listenable. It wasn't as evil as Venom and stuff and Merciful Fate. So they were the band that really set me off. Band that surprised me. This band, I went to see, they were opening up for All Out War and Death Angel up at the Chance. With YouTube, you could go online and check out who the opening band is if you never heard of them. And I listened to them. It was this band Mothership.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah,
good band.
I didn't think
I like them a lot.
I didn't think they fit the bill that night, but then when they played, they blew me away. I ended up getting the autographed album. Me and my wife bought shirts. Later that week, I bought all their albums. At one point, the guitar player came out and he started walking around the railing at the Chance, and he was playing a solo on the railing. I've never seen anybody do that at the Chance all the years I've been going there. I think they blew me away. I was really surprised how good they were. So guilty pleasures. So I'm not a big rockabilly guy, but I love Reverend Horton Heat. Is my autographed 8x10 of Jim Heath. And it said guilty pleasure. So I had another band is Bauhaus, his autographed CD, Bela Lugosi's Dead. I'm not a big goth rock fan, but like a lot of genres, there'll be that one band that does it for me. And these are the bands with rockabilly. I also like the Cramps, but there's not many other bands like that I like from that genre. But
you opened the door for Steve now.
Sorry. It said guilty pleasures though in the questionnaire.
Listen here, you do it more than I do, Butch.
I follow the rules.
Not all the time. You're a rule breaker.
Yeah. Only when I pull a Pardo.
See, yeah, you use the pull apart thing, and then you get to mention like ties, tiebreakers, things.
That's because I'll get emails later if I don't mention people.
Hey, at least you showed up. You gave up hockey for this.
That's right.
I'm watching. I got my phone and there's no score, so we're good.
There you go.
Okay, Steve, let's rein it in.
Am I up? I'm next.
No,
it's not done yet.
I'm not done yet.
Comment. That's all.
Pump the brakes, buddy. Pump the brakes.
You're gonna pump you in a minute, there, buddy.
Band I should have seen live by now, but I haven't. Is Autopsy. I had chances to see them, and I just, for whatever reason, I couldn't make it. But the funny thing is, I had Discharge written down too, like Scow. They're for like the punk bands. They're the band that I've never seen either. So I was thinking about putting them down. But then favorite band to see live, this was a hard one. I'd have to say like Pink Floyd and Roger Waters. Every time I've seen them with the stage production and stuff, it's unbelievable. But if I had to pick just a single performer, I'd have to go with Angus Young. Seeing Angus Young live is always amazing. But if I could have seen him back in the Bon Scott days, when you watch that Let There Be Rock movie, I think that's like the best performance ever. And yeah, that's it.
Cool. Karen.
Okay. Band I hate is Def Leppard. Absolutely.
Wow. Double.
Nice. Nicely done.
Can't do it. I mean, I love High and Dry. On Through the Night was kind of, basic, but it was really good. But after that, like Pyromania, Oh my God, it was horrible.
Not horrible. Move on.
It was horrible.
I already know
Don't hold back. Tell them how you feel.
Dude, they had a signature guitar sound, and that's gone. I mean, Joe Elliott's voice is just a bunch of effects. I just cringe every time I hear them, and they're on the radio all the friggin' time. It drives me nuts.
Radio, what's that?
Band I think is overrated is Aerosmith. I like a couple of songs off of Rocks. Everything else is meh. The 80s were an embarrassment. I don't know. I mean, Steven Tyler's got a great voice, and Joe Perry's a mean guitar player, but it's like, okay, now, I don't know. It's boring to me. It's just dumb. The band I think is underrated. I have two for this, but I'll make it real quick. The first one I think is definitely underrated is Rocky Erickson from the 13th Floor Elevators. He did has amazing solo catalog, and the best is The Evil One, his first one. No one talks about Rocky Erickson, and I think everyone should really look into it. But sticking with the metal and hard rock vein, I'm going to say Cadaver. Why they're not big in the States, I have no idea. I mean, they're a power trio. They know what they're doing. Their live show is amazing. And I mean, they're great performers. They're great songwriters. And for a three-piece, you really got to know what you're doing on stage. And they're so much heavier live, and they just gel so great live. So I don't know why Cadaver aren't bigger than they are. Band I love, Sabbath. I mean, enough said, right? Band I could listen to over and over, much like Mr. Scow. I'm going to go with the Motorhead. Okay, Motorhead, you can go from bluesy, or you can go to punk with, I mean, they're just so great. And there's a Motorhead record for every mood. And again, the power trio, as always. Band that made me fall in love with music, I was going to say Kiss, but it was really Ozzy. In his first solo album, Blizzard of Oz, that really kicked off and ignited my passion for music. And the lyrics were different. Wasn't all about sex. I mean, it made you kind of think, some of them, made me want to look into Mr. Crowley. It was just more insightful to me anyway, as a 14-year-old. Band that changed my life was Black Flag. The first album, Damaged. It was insane. Like, it was nothing I've seen before or heard before. It was a bunch of angry, pissed off kids making music and not trying to be rock stars, not singing about getting laid. They had their Police Story. They had Rise Above. They had TV Party, Thirsty and Miserable. These are songs I definitely identified with. And I felt like they were singing to me. I saw that record at Bleecker Bob's, and everything changed. I picked it up from there and kept me off on my punk rock journey. Band that surprised me is Dark Throne. Dark Throne is known for being, the godfathers of the second wave of black metal. And I get it, and I appreciate that, but that's just not me. That's not what I like. But I heard they did a crust punk album, and it really piqued my curiosity, and they killed it. And then they killed it again. And every genre they decide to, or subgenre of metal they decide to go into, they are amazing. I mean, they do doom, they do the 70s, they do freaking crust punk. I mean, they do it well all the time. And they still have a little touch of black metal in there, but they really surprised me.
I just had the new album on, which has a kind of interesting artwork on it.
I haven't heard that one yet.
I really like it. It's more like classic heavy doom metal, like
that's
Man of War, Old Candlemass, but still black metal. But yeah, they changed again. There's no crust punk on this, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I like Old Star. I like it all. So,
Arctic Thunder.
Yeah, I appreciate
awesome
the black metal. Like Nick knows this. It's not my thing, but I do appreciate what they do. So, and my guilty pleasure is Cher. I believe in life after love. I just love Cher. I don't know why. I definitely feel like it's a guilty pleasure. It's nothing to be proud of. I was going to say the Grateful Dead, but I love the Grateful Dead unashamedly. Same thing with Kiss. I'm proud of that. But Cher, yeah, it was a secret up until now. And a band that I should have seen, but I haven't, is the Rolling Stones. And I just don't think it's a good time to see them now. I should have seen them in the 80s when they had the opportunity. And I blew it, essentially. And my favorite band to see live is the Mummies. They're a garage punk band from San Francisco. They are the epitome of the garage punk scene in the 90s. They have an incredible high octane energy. I mean, I will not miss a Mummy show. If they are around, I am there. If you like 60s garage, but even more so, yeah, go see the Mummies or check them out. You won't be sorry. That's that.
Still can go see the Rolling Stones, and they still put on a good show.
Do it? Should I really do it?
I would. If you get a chance, you should go. Yeah.
All right.
$500.
I was just
Yeah,
going to save up.
That's
Going
why
to
I
save
don't
up
go.
and get on the queue 3 days in advance on Ticketmaster, but then
afford it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you would.
But
Yeah.
I mean, they're so old. Is it worth it?
Yeah,
I felt the same way, Karen, seeing them
I
10
saw
years
them 4
ago
years
already
ago.
now, but they were great. And ask Levy, our friend Levy, is going. I've seen
Yeah.
him twice this year. So.
He did?
Oh yeah, he flew to
fuck
freaking
Levy.
Amsterdam to see him.
Wow.
It's worth it. You should see him at least once.
Yeah, I feel like I
Put
totally
on
do that.
your
now.
bucket list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
All
see
right,
the
Butch.
Mummy. Everybody. See the Mummies.
Butch.
Me? All right. Well, this is, to me, it was very simple, honestly. Band I hate, Pearl Jam. Never liked them. They were part of the reason that ruined everything of the 80s going into the 90s. So Eddie Vedder, don't get him. Mumbles, don't get it. Band that I think is overrated, Volbeat. Don't get them either. I've talked about them before. If you remember the Muppets, the Swedish Chef and Danzig, kind of together. There you go. I don't get it. There's some heavy riffs, but the vocals are awful. I don't get it. I don't get it. Band I think is underrated. Obviously, for me, that's Rival Sons. I think Rival Sons should be huge. There is nothing not to like about them. They're a classic hard rock band, like doing the 70s thing now, but they do it their way. I don't think that they're overly derivative of anything. They took all the influences and threw it in a blender, and it came out them. Love it. Band I love, obviously, Thin Lizzy. Band I can listen to over and over again. There's thousands of bands, but the one I pick is Icon, because I love talking about them and trying to turn people onto them. The first 2 records are just astounding to me still. 1984 and 1985, I listen to them all the time to this day. They sound like they were just recorded. I love them to death, always will. The band that made me fall in love with music. I was already into music as a little kid. My mom liked Sly and the Family Stone and all the R&B and soul stuff, so I loved all that. But Kiss, being a boy in the 70s, how can you not like Kiss? The makeup and everything. And I've talked about this all the time. I wish that I was Ace Frehley. I wish I could have grown my hair like Ace and had the boots like Ace. Everything was Ace. I loved him to death. So that's easy. The band that changed my life is easily Van Halen. I've told that story many times. In May of '79, and my mom taking me to Corvette's department store in New York City, getting Van Halen 2 and UFO Strangers in the Night together at that same time in 1979. It could have been either one of those bands, but it's Edward, and that record that's my benchmark of everything. 1979, Van Halen 2. So Van Halen easily changed my life. Band that surprised me. Going back to Rival Sons, I went to see Rival Sons in New York City at Irving Plaza, and I'm that guy. If I don't know who the opening band is, if I'm not familiar with them and I've never heard of them, I don't see you. I go in late. I go in like 5 minutes before the band I'm going to see goes on. I was stuck there in the city early, so I went in, and it was a Canadian band called Monster Truck, and they are fucking awesome. That there's only been I think maybe 3 times in my concert going career, which is over 40 years at this point now. I think there's only been 3 bands that I've actually gone to see live. So I went to see the headline band, and the opening band made me buy the CD from just seeing it and being floored. And Monster Truck was one of those bands. They were absolutely amazing. I don't have any guilty pleasures. I don't feel guilty by listening to anything that I listen to. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself.
I love attitude.
That's the right way to do it.
I've always been a hard rock metal kid and a black metal kid. No, black kid, not a black metal kid. So I've always marched to my own drummer. My mother has always said, like what you like, you know, and I never turned back from the first time she ever said that to me. So yep. I love this guy a lot. And I have to admit, I probably at the time only knew the video that everyone has seen has become iconic and everything, but he had a TV show on Showtime, and it was the TV show that made me really fall in love with him in the 90s, and that's Chris Isaak. Chris Isaak,
funny show.
His show was fantastic.
Yeah, that was a funny show.
They haven't released it on DVD. I keep checking. I don't know what's going on, but that show was awesome, and it was his real band. It was all his real band. It had a fake manager and a couple, like I think the keyboard player that they had, and it was a fake guy. He wasn't really part of the band, but everybody else was the band. I love Chris Isaak, and matter of fact, I love him to death. He's so cool. Not to mention that, you know, he's the songwriter and singer. He doesn't really play guitar. You know, he plays rhythm guitar, but I love that every guitar that he's got has his name Chris on it in case he doesn't remember who he is or people forget who he is. Chris is on every guitar he owns, which is, I think that's hysterical. But he's so cool and he's got such a great voice, that whole crooner thing. He's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Band that I should have seen by now. This is absolutely my fault. I had a ticket and I didn't go. One time I was in a mood and I didn't feel like going with the people that I was supposed to go with. And that's Porcupine Tree. And I literally could have just seen them a month and a half ago. I reached out a couple of people didn't want to go, and it was at Radio City in New York City. And I go to all the shows, really 99% of the shows I go to by myself anyway, and I just see people at the shows. And I didn't feel like going to that show by myself for whatever reason, and I didn't go. So I still haven't seen Porcupine Tree. I'm sure that they'll do another tour, because I'm sure that this album has been successful because it's phenomenal, and I know the tour is going really, really well. So I'm sure they'll do another tour, and that will be probably my last chance to see them. So I'm going to have to see them finally the next one. And I'm still mad at myself that I haven't seen them, because they are phenomenal. I've loved them for a really long time, and I haven't seen them, and it's completely my fault. And on my list, I just took the list that I had posted in the butcher shop. So my last question was great band to see live. And what was yours, Pete? How did you word it?
Favorite band to see live.
So I'm glad I didn't have that. I'm going to go what I had. The great band, I had a great band to see live, and that's Rammstein. I think the best band I've ever seen live, I'll always going to say Angel in 1978, because I got to see them with their full regalia. I got to see their full stage show that, unless you were of age and saw it, there's not a lot of video out there, which gives it that whole allure, because you can't really just bring it up and watch it. I saw it when I was 10 and 11, actually. So I'm twice in 78 and 79. But seeing Rammstein with their full on, 18 truck production, it's just, and going back to what he had said before, you don't understand why Rammstein is so big in America. Yeah, it is, because that stage set, and no one understands what they're saying. It's in German. And I think, honestly, because they've done it on records where they've made songs and done it in English, it doesn't have the same feel to it. In German, it's angry, it's militant, and then you bring that pyro and everything else that they've got going on, and the whole homoerotic thing that they've got in it, which is a whole nother thing. Their show is insane.
It's a spectacle, I guess. Right?
That's the greatest word to use. They are a spectacle. You don't have to like them, but if you go see that show, you'll leave like, I don't know what the fuck they were saying, but that might be the greatest thing I've ever seen live. Let me put it this way. My mother, and I think I've talked about this before too, going with Rammstein thing. My mother loves Rammstein. They were in the first 5 minutes of the Triple X movie with Vin Diesel, and she was watching it at home, and I could hear it on the background. She called me when the scene was on where they're playing on the stage, and she called and said, "Hey, have you seen Triple X before? Do you know who this band is?" I said, "Oh yeah, that's Rammstein, a German band." She's like, "Oh man, they're bad." And so my mother gave their stamp of approval. She even fucking got it. So Yeah, that's just an amazing show. But my favorite, I'm glad I didn't know that was. I don't even know who I could tell you was my favorite at this point. It's been too many bands under the bridge. I don't know.
I hear you. All right, Rob.
No. All right. Well, band I hate, Nickelback. Can't stand them. Cannot stand Nickelback. Never liked it. I don't understand how they're so big in America, but they are.
I can tell you.
A lot of
Band I think that's overrated. I have a tie. Nirvana and Guns N' Roses. Two bands that I always thought were overrated.
Good answer.
Even the first Guns N' Roses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dead Boys.
I just never got into the Guns N' Roses.
They saved rock at that time. But again, I'm sorry.
That's all right. So yeah, I just never got into that. I mean, I just don't. I don't think that they're great. That's all. Band that I think that's underrated for me personally is one of my favorite bands today is Evergrey. I know a lot of people don't know them.
Awesome.
Great choice.
In the United States. I've seen them a few times. I know the guys personally, and I just love their music. I love their writing. I love the melodies. I love the heavy shit that they do too. And I can't wait to hopefully they're going to come by next year and see them. But I think they're gravely underrated in America. A band that I love, I think you guys probably know, it's going to be Judas Priest. I mean, I've been to Judas Priest since the mid 70s, and you know, that's just my favorite band. Band I can listen to over and over again. This was hard too, kind of what Butch was leading to, but I guess for me, it's Van Halen. I just can listen to Van Halen any time of the day, any time of the week, whatever it is. I can put on Van Halen and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good.
Absolutely.
And, the band
David Lee Roth Van Halen, though. David Lee Roth Van Halen.
Well, yeah, mostly, but yeah. Anything that Eddie did, I can listen to. Band that made me fall in love with music for me, I'm a little older, you know, Steve and I are the oldest here. I grew up in the 60s, and I had a record player when I was 4 years old, and I had the Beatles on there, and that's what made me fall in love with music was the Beatles. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And then when Abbey Road and Sgt. Pepper's came out, that led me into more progressive stuff, which I'll get into next. But that's the Beatles for me is what made me fall in love with music as a kid. And, you know, you guys all mentioned Kiss and stuff. Yes, that came on later. But I mean, to fall in love with music at an early age from 4 years old, remembering all the songs from when I was 4 years old to this day is a big influence on me. The band that changed my life. Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Black Sabbath changed my life because I didn't know anything about darker music until Black Sabbath came on the scene. I mean, it didn't, you know, Black Sabbath for me it changed. It was like listening to Sabbath was like watching horror movies when I was a kid. It went hand in hand for me. And I just fell in love with Black Sabbath right away. I was like, what was I, 11 or 12?
Wow.
And the other, I'm just going to throw this in. The other band at that time was Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Moon, when that came out, that changed my life too, because I mean, you know, it got me into progressive music, which is, you know, another story. Band that surprised me. I had to think about this one, but this one is right here.
Okay.
Now, for me, Opeth, you guys got to understand, I wasn't into like death growls and all that stuff. And in the early 2000s, when I first got divorced from my first wife, I was going into these metal chats, AOL metal chat and all this stuff, and people were naming bands to me. And I checked out Opeth, and I got to tell you right away, I fell in love with them. At first I didn't like the vocals, but I love the frickin' music was great. The melodies, the heaviness, everything about Opeth, I fell in love with right away. And then eventually it led me to other bands like Insomnium and Amorphous and all these other bands that we all love today. So Opeth was the gateway for me to get into dark metal, black metal, you know, all that stuff.
Rob, what album was it? You remember?
What, Opeth?
Yeah.
Morningside.
Okay.
Yeah. Band that's, where are we? Band that's, Guilty Pleasures. I like what somebody said about Guilty Pleasures. For me, it has to do also when I was a kid, probably the Carpenters. I thought Karen Carpenter had the most beautiful voice in the world.
No shame in that. None.
No, I don't have any shame. I listen to everything, you know. It's just not what I like. And I'm 60 years old. So, you know, some stuff that from when I was a kid is gonna influence me.
Yeah, right.
Carpenters, John Denver.
Okay.
He was like the only country guy I really liked, except for maybe Johnny Cash. And then Journey. Journey for me, since the 70s is another band that I love.
Oh, fuck you, Karen. Don't pick on Journey.
Not picking on Journey.
Okay, band that I should have seen but never have, and I'm, you know, there's nothing I can do about it now. It's too late. Nevermore. Nevermore is one of my favorite bands.
Oh, yeah.
To this day, you know, I got to see Walden with Sanctuary when they opened up for Symphony X and Overkill a couple years back, just before he passed away. But I never got to see Nevermore live, and you know, to this day, I feel shit about it.
Aww.
And my favorite band to see live, Iron fucking Maiden. I saw them this year. It was like my 30th time. Been seeing them since '81.
Wow.
I will never stop seeing Iron Maiden until they retire.
Did you see them with Diano?
Or I retire. For what?
On.
But
Did you see them with Paul Diano?
I've even seen Iron.
Yeah.
I think I've seen Iron Maiden more than I've seen Priest, and they're like almost neck and neck. But I usually I'll go see Iron Maiden twice on a tour. This year I didn't, but you know, Iron Maiden for me is one of the, and for guys in their 60s still doing what they're doing. I don't give a shit. I mean, yeah, Rolling Stones, like you guys were talking about, they're still doing it too. But I mean, come on, you watch Bruce run around the stage, it's like it's insanity. So anyway, those are my picks.
What was the first year you saw Priest?
Also 81.
Oh, it's 81 as well.
Yeah,
okay.
Paul Diano at Asbury Convention Hall.
No, Maiden. I mean, not Maiden. Priest. I said Priest.
Both 81. That was.
Oh, it was still the 81. It was the same tour. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was wondering because
Maiden opened for Priest, right?
No, I understand. No, I was asking because you are a few years older than me. I wonder if you ever saw Les Binks. So you didn't. Okay.
No, I missed Les Binks. Yeah.
When you saw Priest, what Priest touring for?
That were touring on the Point Entry tour.
That's a tour I saw in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
And Maiden was it was what was it Killers?
Killers,
yeah,
it was Killers, yeah.
And at my show we had the Joe Perry Project in between. It's Iron Maiden, Joe Perry Project, and
I don't remember
Judas Priest. It was
Joe
like a local promoter.
Wow, he was in between.
Yeah, it was weird.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
Well, not for Karen though. She doesn't.
Stuff that doesn't happen anymore.
Boring.
Joe Perry Project's not boring. It's got some great songs.
Yeah.
Probably different
I have
era.
to give it a chance, but Aerosmith, ugh. Back in the saddle. That's it. I won't even play that pinball machine if I don't have to.
That's silly.
Karen needs some help.
Yes, she did. We already
Open
knew that.
arms, yo.
There ain't nothing wrong with rocks. You go listen to rock. Go listen to Night in the Ruts and tell me that's bad. That's awesome.
No, Night in the Ruts is great. Yeah.
Get your wings.
Yeah, you can have that. I don't need that one.
You know, I get your wings, really. Wow.
Yeah.
Dream on.
Just the beginning.
All right, Chris Allo.
All right, let's burn through this. Band I hate.
Burn through it. I can't wait.
Band I hate. Poison. When they came out with that first record, I wanted to fuck them, but I never wanted to listen to their music. Band I think is overrated. System of a Down. I don't know how the fuck in the world that band got so big with that fucking chalk on a board fucking vocals and the most juvenile lyrics I have ever heard of any band ever. Band I think is underrated. Fear Factory. I love this fucking band. I don't know how they're still playing shitty clubs. I think it's all the unfortunate lineup changes over the years, but such an influential band. I mean, they were the first band I ever heard that was doing, growling vocals and then clean singing choruses. And there's only been like a billion bands that have done that since, but Fear Factory, now. Yeah, Fear Factory unfortunately never got
without Bert.
Yeah, no, they never got the recognition. Band I love, yeah. Rob named it too, Judas Priest. I fucking love Priest. The older I get, I think I love him more. I'm really glad they got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Even though it was a bullshit category, I don't give a fuck. They were there. And Rob Halford got to sing with Dolly Parton, and I'm sure he really fucking dug that. Band I can listen to over and over again. I think I listen to this band every fucking day, and they only have like 100 songs. The original version of the Misfits. Fucking most singable songs in the history of music, at least as far as I'm concerned. Band that made me fall in love with music, Black Sabbath. Band that changed my life, Black Sabbath. I was a fucking greasy teenage kid, a fat kid that was into monster movies and pro wrestling. And the Road Warriors came out, and they were the most badass wrestling team. And they came out to Iron Man, and I was like, holy fuck, what is this? This is insane, and it changed my life. Band that surprised me. I went to the Grass Pop Metal meeting in Belgium in 2004. Me and my buddy Frank White, and we were in the photo pit, and we were about to leave. And some other photographers like, where are you guys going? We're like, oh, well, whoever just left, I'm going to go get a sandwich or something. Like, you got to stay and see this band Epica. I'm like, never fucking heard of them. He's like, you got to stay. And I was like, they came on and they fucking completely blew me away. I mean, I was 18 years old ago. So, you know, Simone was the skinny little blonde, little redhead, but it was heavy, but it was also, you know, melodic and progressive, and I fucking love that band. That completely blew me away. Guilty pleasures, like Butch said, I don't give a fuck, but I love Blondie. I fucking have like a million Blondie albums.
No guilt with Debbie.
Zero guilt there.
Blondie, seen her solo as Debbie Harry. I still love that fucking band. Band I should have seen by now, but haven't. This one fucking bugs me, but you know, she also didn't tour for like 25 fucking years. Lita Ford. You know, like I never caught her in the 80s. She is my #1 bucket list artist, and she only does like a handful of dates a year, and I just always fucking miss her. And favorite band to see live. I guess my favorite band is the band I've seen the most. That's how I took this category, and I've seen Slayer 58 times, so that's my favorite band to see live. And that's it.
Cool.
Wowza.
58. Holy fuck.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Hey, Chris, I actually kissed Blondie.
Really, the whole band, or just Debbie?
I was gonna say, kiss the whole band. Wow.
Just Debbie.
I was gonna say, how does Chris Stein take?
I was gonna say,
they had their equipment in my storage facility down in Queens back in the late 80s.
Wow.
I'll show you. I'll send you the picture.
God, that's awesome. That's fucking great. Yeah, I love Blondie. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So Rob, you saw Paul Di'Anno with Iron Maiden, and you kissed Debbie Harry.
Yeah.
You're the cool. You're fuck all the rest of you. You're the coolest.
Right on.
You're the coolest person ever.
Exactly. Wow. I concur.
Oh, Nick, I got some stories for you, man.
I know. I want to hear.
We'll have to think up something because I saw Paul Di'Anno too, so I'll have to see who I kissed.
There you go, Steve.
Let's keep it on the wrap, Steve.
I might have drunkenly kissed Steve Keeler, so I'm just throwing that
out. I don't remember that night. Thank
Chris
you.
did take a piss next to Dio, though.
And he fucked Poison.
That is true.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Chris fucked Poison.
Best line.
I would totally listen. In '87, when I remember flipping through Hit Parade or Circus or whatever the fuck, first time I saw that album cover, I was like, wow, I would look at these broads. I'm like, I would totally bang these broads.
Now CC DeVille looks like a fucking leather suitcase, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't bang him now, but listen, in '87, you know.
First time I saw Poison was at Rock Fantasy, and I thought the thing with the dark hair looked like my Aunt Rosemary. I was like, what? But it was at Rock Fantasy. I saw it there.
Karen says the thing.
Poison never played Rock Fantasy.
We're off that thing.
You saw the album at Rock Fantasy.
Yeah, I saw the album. Yeah.
I was gonna say they never performed at the shop.
No.
You're up, Steve. Go for it.
Oh, all right. So band. I heard Scal moan again. He, please, sir, just keep it polite.
Just roll, Steve. Go.
Band I hate. Go. Shut up, Scal. Can I?
You let him get to you. Just stop.
Screw him. Band I hate. Green Day. Someone said I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't.
Coming to your house tonight.
The band I think is overrated is Pearl Jam. I don't understand how they're so huge. The first album was okay, but other than that, I don't get them. The band I think is underrated in the United States, still hasn't played here, is Powerwolf. Band I love, too many to list, but it's Sabbath. Band I can listen to over again. I'm going with Amorphous. Could have went with Sabbath there. Band that made me fall in love with music. The first album I ever bought around was in the 60s. I'm going Soul, Temptations, Greatest Hits.
Really? Wow.
Nice.
Band that made me fall in love with music. That was that. Band that changed my life is Sabbath. Band that surprised me was a band we just booked and someone turned me on to. We just had Tower.
They are so good.
And Sarah Beth Linden on vocals, a super great band. Check out Tower. So they surprised me. Guilty pleasures, other than listening to 60s and 70s top 40 and loving most all of it. I'm going metal with Korn, which a lot of people say, you listen to Korn. I love Korn. So band I should have seen by now is Apardo, Jethro Tull, and Led Zeppelin, which I didn't get to see because that ended when I was very young, and Jethro Tull about a million times. Million chances, but never did. Favorite band to see live is a band we cannot see anymore, and since they broke up, the world's turned into a shit show, is Slayer.
Okay, well, Chris, neither one of us can complain about that. He just steamrolled through that.
Oh,
That's great.
I'm doing
a little disappointed.
Chris Allo, I will do that every week just for you.
You're the best.
And if you get me on first, I was supposed to go watch a movie with Linda 20 minutes ago, so I'm leaving.
I have a question.
You better get the question in fast. He's out of here.
Yeah, he's out.
Get out.
Question.
Where that band Tower? Where are they from? It's a girl singer.
New York
They're
City.
from Brooklyn.
I killed him in a review like 10 years ago.
I'm surprised you didn't like it because they're really good, actually.
That's a long time ago. I think that a much different band now. You have to take a listen again.
I did not get it. I was not into them.
I like them a lot.
And before I do, Ron,
one's really good.
I want to thank Peter Pardo for what he put together and at my store, and thanks for Butch and Rob for coming over. Karen was there, and Ralph. It was a great afternoon hang at the store.
I had so much fun.
And I thank you so much for that, Pete.
Yeah,
and
it was a lot of fun.
We're gonna put something else together maybe around the holidays. We'll talk about that. So
so for those of you who didn't make it, we'll do it again.
There's a million concerts coming this week. I got to go rest up. I'm like Chris, and I promised to hang out with the wife a little bit. So I'm out of here. It's been a great night. Boom. And Scouse,
Taylor, nobody wants you here.
Scouse, screw you and Karen. I don't know why you invited her here. It's a bad move.
I love you too.
Bye,
Steve. I'll see you at Merciful Fate.
I'll see you at Merciful Fate twice.
Oh, yes, you will.
Well, I won't be here next Monday, and because we're going to Fate.
It's happening Thursday. We're all going to Merciful Fate on Thursday. This is
Thursday.
Amazing. Yeah.
Friday. What are we doing Friday, Karen?
Friday, I'm going to be at Quinn's Pins to see Wrath of Typhon. What's the other one? That hardcore
Abuse Ritual.
Abuse Ritual.
You're the promoter. You don't know the band.
You need some signs for Karen, I think.
I know.
Abuse Ritual and Vicious Blade. And then we got Blue Oyster Cult. I got Blue Oyster Cult on Saturday. I got free tickets, so I'm going. And I got Merciful Fate again on Monday next week.
Awesome.
We'll see you there, Steve.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right,
bye.
Nick Franco.
Hey.
Hold on. Let me strap in. Let me strap in.
Here we go. His nickname, by the way, is Dick Spanko.
That's right. That's Dick Spanko.
No longer Nick Franco. Change all your phone contacts. Sorry.
Everybody, let's play a drinking game for the bands that I cannot pronounce that he's going to mention right now.
Have some whiskey.
So, band I hate was actually really hard to whittle down because I hate a lot of bands. But I'm gonna have to go with I believe it was already mentioned, but System of a Down. I had a few on there. I had Whitechapel, Ginger, I had Stone Temple Pilots. I hate them all. But and I think Butch, you like the Chili Peppers.
I like the early Chili Peppers.
Oh, okay, yeah, I hate them too. But
I hate them too.
Sure. But System of a Down is probably the biggest insult to like my sensibilities. Yeah, that guy's voice sounds like he's like.
But the guitar player in System of a Down is a humongous Edmonton Oilers fan. Damon is a huge Oilers fan.
All right, so we give him that.
See, I know it changes. Then he likes hockey.
Small victories.
Listen, these people could be the nicest people on the planet. This is purely about the music.
Yeah, I don't like one song either, so I'm with you.
Yeah, no, the guy's voice, and I like some strange vocals, but that guy it sounds like he's getting shaken like a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Fucking terrible. Garbage. Anyway. With overrated, it's hard. It's kind of a tie. I'm going to say I had mentioned that band Ginger with the female vocalist. I think they're overrated. I think they're terrible. I think Ghost is overrated, but I'm going to leave that alone.
Fuck them.
I like Ghost.
No, I mean, yeah, they're overrated. My daughter likes that song. That's that popular song now. Good, and listen, I'm glad to see a real band that plays real instruments and has like a thing. I'm glad they're doing well because I think that's important right now.
Yeah,
we're losing the soul of rock and roll. We're losing on the popular level. We're really losing out.
There's no rock stars anymore.
Yeah. So like, you know what? Like I don't like it, but good for them. Underrated, I have to go with Killing Joke. The band that's existed since the late 70s that has been part new wave. They've been super heavy. They've been punky. They can do it all. Their singers so diverse. Jazz Coleman, you can all kinds of different, like he does that smooth, like English new wave vocal. He can do a really hard vocal. These guys can do everything. They influence Metallica.
I was going to say they've influenced a lot of bands.
Yeah,
Metallica covered them.
Yeah, and I know people, they're like a cult band. You're right, they're like a cult band. To me, they should be a lot bigger. They're still active too. They should be a lot bigger. A band I love, obviously there's so freaking many, but I wore the hat, and Brian said Destroyer 666. Love them so much. They're so goddamn good. They're like, like they're the only modern band that could take the energy and Rain and Blood and make that energy happen, like very naturally. So awesome. Bands I can listen to over and over again. I got to go Amorphous and Primordial. I can always listen to them. They're two of my favorites. The musician or band that made me fall in love with music, if I'm being honest, it is the moment at age 5 or 6 that I heard Michael Jackson. I heard the song Thriller. Yeah, I heard the song Beat It. And I heard Eddie Van Halen's guitar and Beat It. I had never heard it. I remember the fucking moment. I can't remember what I did yesterday, what I ate. I can remember the moment I heard the guitar riff and Beat It. And I put down my Star Wars figures and I went, what the fuck is that sound?
Quincy Jones production.
Holy shit.
It's like Quincy Jones killed it on
it just killed.
Do you still have the Star Wars figures?
Yes.
Knew that was coming.
Can't see them with their right there.
Chris will gladly take them off.
Hey, don't make fun of Star Wars figures. I got Star Wars figures.
Hey,
there's only a few left.
I'm not making fun.
No, that's
Thriller's a great fucking album, though.
Yeah. And then the rest of it was just amazing. This guy was like a god. He was just like, it was so great. But the band that changed my life, I've said this story a billion times about Metallica with one, so I'm not going to do another life change, was when I was in 10th grade and somebody played Morbid Angel for me. I was thinking back and hearing Blessed Are the Sick by Morbid Angel. That was the moment when I think I was 15. It was 1991. That was the moment that Nikki went from Megadeth and Maiden and Metallica. Like, that's when I realized that I was going to like really fucked up sick vocals and crazy fast. I was like, my friend came up and he just didn't say anything to me. He was this like kind of like European guy. Like, he didn't say much. He was a new kid in school. And we started talking because we were both losers and it was great. And he came up and he just, in the morning, it was like freezing. We wanted to die. Nobody wanted to be in school. It was 7:30 in the morning. And he just walks over and he just puts the Walkman headphones on me. It doesn't say anything and just presses play, and it was Fall from Grace from Morbid Angel, and that's my life changed in that
that's
moment.
A friend right there.
Yeah,
on that
miserable sidewalk in 1991, my fucking face was like, whoa, and that set the stage for me liking all the extreme stuff. Let's see. Well, a band that surprised me was when I was 18. Where the hell is it? My props are not proppy. Strappy Young Lad. I heard heavy is a really heavy thing. I had no fucking idea that unhinged insanity could be so sharp and tight. And I started my lifelong love affair with one Devin Townsend.
Wait, Nick, you heard that before you heard City?
Before I heard what?
City, the second album, City?
Oh, yeah. I heard that the instant it came out. Yeah.
Oh, because I heard City first, and I had the same. I'm like,
yeah, no, I got on the ground, on the ground floor.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah, I got in on the ground floor.
And those crazy Canadians.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, that album, that Heavy is a Really Heavy Thing, is the name of the album. It starts with a sample of the band, the main guy, Devin Townsend. It starts with a sample of him talking when he's like 2 years old, talking about a bear coming and eating him or something.
Oh, eating the kids, yeah. The bear,
yeah, and then it just goes into this super heavy shit. Fucking amazing. It was holy shit.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Guilty pleasures, like many of you, I don't fucking believe in that. I like what I like, and everyone can go fuck themselves. I listen to music that sounds like two trains crashed into each other and everybody's dying. I have enough metal cred and I can listen to whatever the fuck
my man.
Right on. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't give a shit. I'm 46 years old. Fight me, because I'm setting this up because I'm about to say something really old Madonna. I don't give a shit. fuck everyone. The first couple albums of Madonna, out right now. La Isla Bonita, I'll fucking sing it.
We were singing that at pizza at the Sia Tripoli. We're off in the corner singing that song. And one of the guys looked over at us real weird, like,
yeah. I was
singing
little.
Madonna. Fuck off.
I little. I don't know anyone who doesn't like Madonna, or at least one Madonna song.
Yeah,
oh my
Ralph
God,
like
Butch. You like Def Leppard. What can I say?
But you know
the
what?
First three Def Leppard albums are untouchable.
I was like 7
enough.
years old. I was like 7 when I heard Madonna. Like she was hot. It was great. It was,
Nick, I will tell you, I did go to the theaters to see Desperately Seeking Susan.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Film.
Yeah, and I carried it through. I mean, I liked Madonna probably up until I don't know, Like a Prayer or whatever. That was a sick record. All I know is that video pissed my parents off more than the shit I was watching. So she had to be on to something.
I can't.
And she looks like a goddamn monster right now.
Yeah, she is.
Oh,
Ruining
it's
herself.
weird.
What a shame.
Yeah.
But when I was a little kid, fucking absolutely. And I like stuff like old country, like Emmylou Harris. I love Emmylou Harris. I'll throw that on when she sings Tulsa Queen. Oh my God, it's beautiful. And then I'll go knock gravestones over and light churches on fire. I don't know.
Gotta be diverse. You gotta mix it up.
You gotta mix it up.
You absolutely have to be.
Spice of life.
Yeah. Band I haven't seen yet. I knocked 2 off. And Merciful Fate. I had never seen. That would have been one of my answers, but I finally wised up and got to see them. It's a real underground choice. It's this band Ancient Rites from Belgium. They are super cool. Started out black metal, turned into kind of paganistic metal, but great solos, great historical, epic fucking subject matter. I actually chat with the band member online a lot. He's a great guy.
Nick, they've been around.
Yeah,
how long
really,
they been around? A long time, right?
Yeah. I'd say probably 90s. Yeah, 90.
I've heard them before. Yeah.
They've never played the States though, right? Never.
Once.
They did.
In 2008, they played in Minnesota. Some guy did a Heathen Fest. I went to Wacken that year. I didn't go to Minnesota. What an ass. I really wish I would have done it, but I will see these movies.
Oh yeah, don't you know?
Oh yeah. Oh, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Cold.
Oh
It
yeah.
was like in January.
You
Too.
know.
I went out to Minnesota once. It was cold.
Yeah. Their album Fatherland.
Oh yeah, down there by the lake.
Yeah.
Oh, you betcha. Yeah.
Skating on the
Oh
lake.
yeah.
You can go to
Somebody
Wisconsin.
from Minnesota is gonna be like, "Fuck you guys" in the
Fuck you
comments.
guys, man. That's not how we talk.
Damn New Yorkers.
That's exactly how they talk.
Yeah.
This is
how
how
we
they
talk. Oh. So yeah, Ancient Rites is man, that's a bucket list band for me. I love those guys. And you know what? I was realizing while I made this, I've never ever seen Dave Lombardo fucking perform.
I did.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
I'm going to get my cred back up. I went to dinner with Dave Lombardo, Nick,
That's more cred than Nick has.
when he was in Grip Incorporated.
Yeah, which is a cool band. And listen, the reason is because I was too young to see Slayer in their heyday. My mom wouldn't let me. She watched Phil Donahue. A kid broke his neck. Forget it. No shows.
Lombardo rejoined Slayer in like 2000.
7, 6, 8. Somewhere.
Yes.
No,
Before Christ Illusion, maybe earlier. than that.
Before.
No, 2002.
Oh, it was earlier. Yeah. They did that Rain and Blood tour.
I wouldn't. Early.
I know. I guess by the time when he came back, they were touring with bands like fucking Limp Bizkit and shit. They were doing that Tattoo the Earth shit. I was done. And I didn't like any of their recorded output. And I kick myself now. I mean, Hanneman I never saw,
You know what, Nick, I'm going to tell you, I think now that you're saying that, I think I've seen Lombardo play with more bands. I've seen him with Slayer. I saw him with Grip Inc. I saw him with Testament. I saw him with Suicidal Tendencies. And I saw him with Mike Patton's band, Phantomus.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Now he's
I know. I got to fix that, man. That dude is a ridiculous.
Yeah, he was great in every band. I'll say that. He was great in every band I saw.
Yeah. And cool little tiny quick thing about Dave Lombardo I just read online was Dave Lombardo found out recently that Miles Davis's son was watching MTV in the early 90s and a Slayer video came on. It was either War Ensemble or Season of the Abyss. And Miles Davis walks into the room and looks at the video, and his son thought that the dad was going to be like, "What the hell are you listening to?" And Miles Davis said, "Man, that drummer's amazing," or something like that. So, man, and Dave Lombardo was like, "Holy shit, I got endorsed."
That's a high fucking compliment.
Yeah, right on.
Pretty cool, man.
Miles
Those guys are always so cool, So that was pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Miles Davis said something.
Imagine Miles Davis, Jesus. And so my favorite live band ever is to see is Iron Maiden. They're the fucking best. And I just saw them on this tour. It was my 20th time seeing them. I have nowhere near as cool stories as you, Rob. The first vocalist I saw with them was Blaze Bailey. Thanks, Mom.
Wow.
Yeah, because I wasn't allowed to go. But anyway, but I made up for it. Bruce came back as much as I can. They still bring it. I am at my happiest when Steve Harris, Adrian Smith, and Dave Murray are lined up next to each other like this. There's nothing fucking better. It's bliss.
But what about Twinkle Toes?
No, I mean, I don't hate him as much as other people, but
he's been in the band a long time.
He has. But you guys see, I was taking photos at this last show. I was cropping out Yannick. I was like, oh, all right, just go a little bit. Oh, okay, there's my. No, I don't hate him, but it's just
you do. You crop him out. You do hate him.
I hate him.
You just don't want to
him at all. I give him. He's been there forever.
I respect.
He's been in the band longer than Adrian Smith has been.
Overall tenure, yeah.
I know. I respect.
Wow, really?
That hurts. Yeah,
I respect.
But he didn't play on Number of the Fucking Beast, so
he doesn't play in concert. He just plays air guitar the whole fucking time.
You know what? I thought, because we discussed that on this tour, because I saw him a bunch of times.
Yeah,
he played a lot of the fucking solos. He did
a lot of
Adrian
Smith solos, and it's really annoying.
Which, I was like, that is weird because those are Adrian solos, but there he is playing them away. So,
Nick, did you wear a cape?
Butch. I got pissed off. Like, why is he playing Adrian's solo?
Yeah, I'm like, he's soloing. Wait, that's Adrian's solo.
You know what? That's Adrian Smith taking one for the team. I'm going to give you some of my awesome solos, and you go ahead and butcher them. Go ahead.
Well, I've heard it said that keeping Yannick in the band was kind of their way of repaying his loyalty, not throwing him out. You know,
for slugging through the 90s.
You saw him through some tough times. So
and I have respect for him, but my God,
you know what, Nick? Here's something did you know that Bruce Dickinson played the Chants?
No,
you didn't know that?
Yeah, Tattooed Millionaire.
He played. So I saw Yannick and Bruce at the Chants, and one of the radio guys, Greg O'Brien. Me and Greg O'Brien took Bruce down to Noah's Ark for drinks.
God damn.
Yep.
What that would have been 90?
90.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Chris said, Tattooed Millionaire.
I didn't go that time. I was damn.
And it wasn't sold out. I think it was a good crowd, but it wasn't sold out.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hear from the youngest member of the panel here. Strap yourselves in, Bryce.
This is the one. Bryce never
Bring it home, Bryce. Bring it home.
He's been waiting this whole time.
Finish line, Bryce.
Fucking yapping away.
Bring it home. Bring it home.
Okay, so the band I pretty much hate more than anybody else is by far Nirvana. They freaking suck. I love 80s hard rock and glam metal, so obviously I'm going to hate Nirvana. Back like 5 years ago, probably when I first started doing YouTube, I had my brother record me do a Nevermind review. Basically, I said it sucked. He tossed it up and I hit it with a baseball bat, smashed it everywhere.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't have the video anymore, unfortunately, but that was one of my favorite reviews I've done. So yeah, they suck. Overrated. I'm going to go just because of the modern, like the recent thing that happened with them is Five Finger Death Punch. When I saw it announced that Megadeth was opening for Five Finger Death Punch, my stomach just dropped. I got sick. I was like,
Bryce.
Are you kidding me? Like, I'll talk more about Megadeth in a minute, but yeah, I didn't go see him on the tour there because I didn't want to give money to Five Finger Death Punch, but I did. I drove a couple hours up to Nashville to see Megadeth a few months back. So, but yeah, Five Finger Death Punch sucks. Also, underrated. I'm going to go with Skullfist, a band I talk about a lot. Love these guys. I got the hat on backwards here, but they're basically my favorite modern band. They're from Canada, formed in 2006. They got 4 full lengths. Basically, I describe them as being a blend of like Exciter, Dokken, Iron Maiden, Tokyo Blade. They're the modern band that encapsulates, they encapsulate that classic 80s sound in the modern time. So anybody that, you know, likes classic 80s metal, you need to check out Skullfist. A lot of great stuff from them. Band I love, I went with Wasp. Just love everything about them. I love all the stuff, even up through the mid 90s. I think, you know, even like Still Not Black Enough, I think it's a great album. First couple obviously are great. Love Blackie's voice. Just so haunting and dark and unique. Just great band. Band I can listen to over and over. There's a lot of them, but I went with Inquisition. This is a black metal band that I've gotten into like 3 years ago, and I've listened to them almost every day, just like nonstop. They actually have a decently wide range of sound. They started as a thrash band, shifted their sound into like classic raw, aggressive black metal. They've gotten more cosmic, spacey, melodic, you know, as time's gone on. So 8 albums from them, all great. Listen to them all the time. Band that made me fall in love with music, Megadeth. They're my favorite band of all time. Got this greatest hits CD right here because this is the first album I bought from them, which was probably in like 2006. My dad, I'm like 10 years old. I'm at Walmart with him back when they had a decent selection of CDs. He said, just pick something out. I picked this. He's like, you sure? Because I know he liked Megadeth. We listened to like rock and stuff like AC/DC, Motley Crue, stuff like that in the car. But I got the Megadeth CD, I guess maybe just because the logo and the explosion here. And he had Peace Sells back in like the mid 90s. He got it on cassette. So he knew him, but he's like, you sure you want to get this? And I'm like, yeah. And right from Holy Wars, opening it up, just has been my favorite band ever since. Pretty much been obsessed with them. Got the signed picture back here. Thank you, Mr. Franco. He gave this to me. It's the, rest in peace era signed by all the band members, which is freaking sick. Band that changed my life. This one was kind of difficult. I could have gone with Megadeth again, obviously, but I took a little bit of a different route, probably like 5 years ago. I'm going to say Cradle of Filth, just because they're kind of a gateway band from, classic metal into kind of the black metal stuff, like the second wave style. I think that they're a good gateway band to start with black metal. Some people debate, they're not real black metal, all this stuff, but in the 90s, they got a blend of like the melodic black metal gothic elements there. Really, Midian is the album, I'd say. I started with that, really started listening to it, got into Dissection and a bunch of other bands like directly after that, and just love a ton of black metal now. Band that surprised me, I'm going to go with a band I saw in 2016 live, and this was opening for Marty Friedman. I never heard of this band that was opening. That is Holy Grail. Really great. Another one that is a modern, like new wave traditional heavy metal band. I got to get a sip here. But this band, there's a band called White Wizard that started in like 2009 or 8 with their first EP, High Speed GTO. Then Holy Grail, 3 of the guys from White Wizard broke off because they didn't want to keep a classic, straightforward Iron Maiden influence. They wanted to incorporate more like speed and thrash metal. So the singer of Holy Grail said if there's 2 bands that, if they had a baby, it would be Holy Grail. He said Cacophony with Marty Friedman and Jason Becker and Megadeth. So they're just like fast speed thrash metal. Really great stuff from them. Guilty pleasure. This one could get me some hate. I know it is, but I'm doing it. I'm going to say baby metal. Let me explain here. So baby metal, it's a blend obviously of the Japanese pop over metal music. They got heavy riffs. There is some shredding guitar. If you see them live, they put on a cool live show. They got Takeyoshi.
Oh, wait a minute. You've seen them live?
I've seen them live twice.
Okay.
Whoa,
all right.
Let me say this is one of the most diverse.
Them your money? Oh man.
Okay. So first off,
I like all of this. This is good.
Okay. They got elite metal musicians as their backing band. That is called the Kami Band. So they got this guy Takeyoshi Omura, shredder on guitar. He's played with Marty Friedman's solo band. He's in the music video for Hyperdoom. So you can see him there. He's got several solo albums that sounds like classic 80s shred metal. Lita Cygnus is another guy that plays guitar with them that is just amazing. Hideki Aoyama on the drums. Like these guys are a top tier, even on the studio stuff. They brought in the guys from Dragon Force who shred. Like they got Herman Lee and Sam Toteman on some of the early studio material from them, which I'm not massively into the studio stuff, just seeing them live. I mean, they got Rob Halford played some stuff with them live, and like other bands like Slayer and shit, like they think they approve. So I mean, it's not. I mean,
Rob Halford also recorded Turbo. I mean, like, there's so what?
We're gonna act like Reckless isn't one of their best songs.
Turbo's not a bad album. Come on.
Yeah, we're gonna act like that's not one of their best songs.
Reckless is great. No,
I'm gonna stick up.
Never let you forget.
I'm gonna stick up for.
But I just gotta say the last thing with baby metal, it's one of the most diverse crowds you'll see. Like there's guys that look like Nick in there with the battle vest, but then you got a guy over here like dressed like Naruto or like a Dragon Ball Z character. It's like the funniest shit you'll ever see. But yeah, so I mean, hey, I dig them. I'll
Go what you like, Bryce.
If they got
exactly like what you like.
Don't let those kids at school pick on you, Bryce.
Hey, they do like a band solo, which is the backing band that they do like go back and forth shredding, which is pretty cool. Hey, you got to look it up and see. So we'll move on from baby metal.
Can I just say one? Oh, go ahead, Bryce.
No, you can say what's up.
There was a guy in our pinball club who liked baby metal and was very vocal about it. And people kind of just like pushed him out. Like nobody wanted to talk to him anymore. Like he was totally ostracized. Nobody was, it was like, okay.
I'm going to say one thing quick. I'm gonna stick up for Bryce here. Baby metal is not for us, but it serves a function. And Bryce made me look at a fucking video of them, and I can't say they don't shred. Like he said, the backing band shreds. If a bunch of kids are going to come to a live show and watch a bunch of people shredding on guitar at 14,
they might look
13,
at something else. Yeah.
You know what? It's better than listening to this garbage that you hear on the radio. I'll just say that. It's not for me. It's not for us, but it serves a function.
The Pinball Club laid down their judgment, and
I'm dropping at least the Takayoshi Omura solo song, so you can hear this guy's like top tier shred ability. But all right, so a band I should have seen live by now. I went with bands that are active because there's a lot of bands that are not going right now that I didn't see because I wasn't around. But I'm gonna go with Annihilator. I pretty much worship Jeff Waters, and he never wants to play in America, which is just perfect for me. But dude, he is like the most mind-blowing shredder you'll see. Like so fast, clean, precise, amazing. Love his tone. Love most of Annihilator's albums, past the first two even, which some people act like are the only two good Annihilator albums, which is just crazy to me. But I would say look up the Trend playthrough on YouTube. This guy is like on point, perfect, crazy, amazing. Jeff's a great player. Oh yeah, one of the best. And my favorite band to see live, I'll just say the best favorite concert I've ever been to is 1349. And my favorite band to see live, like repeating, I'd say is Judas Priest. I've seen them 5 times and great every time. So yeah.
Awesome.
If you could have seen Priest back in the day when Rob Halford moved, you would.
Yeah.
You would have really
Well, let me ask you this: at any point in their career, did Ian Hill ever move?
No,
never.
Hey, listen, he shakes up and down. What do you want?
No, I'm not saying he's like a little
he
bit
goes
in
up
front
and
of
he goes down. Rob, tell him.
He plants his feet. His feet don't move, but he
His
does
feet
move.
don't
He goes up and it comes back down. What
They
more do you
go out
want?
there with like they bolt them onto the
Ian
stage.
Peter cemented.
What, he's going to put a mop up his ass and fucking clean the stage while he's playing bass?
Oh, so he's like the little ride out front of the old like cow doors. You put the quarter in, the little horse goes up and down. That's all he moves. You don't take a fucking step on that stage. And I've seen Priest a lot too.
I will defend Ian Hill though. He's a really nice guy. I got to drink wine with him once.
Oh no, I'm not slagging him, and he's
a bad person.
He's awesome for what he does.
Yeah, no,
he's the only original member of Judas Priest.
He is. Nope, you're right. I'm just saying you don't fucking move.
No, you don't move.
All right, let me finish this out here and blow through mine here. So, band I hate. I had a whole bunch of options here, and all my options except for one have already been called out. Poison, fuck them, they suck. Nirvana blows. Pearl Jam blows. Green Day blows. Motley Crue.
That's the comment. There we go.
Vince Neil is, I was going to say Vince McMahon. Vince Neil is a load. Mick Mars made the best decision ever. I don't like Motley Crue. Sorry. So
even shout out the Devil.
I can listen to that. That's okay. But everything they've done after, well, except for the self-titled album.
That's the Karate.
I give them a pass just because of those 2 records. Shout out to the Devil alone.
But the rest of it, unlistenable for me.
Wow.
Band I think is overrated, Guns N' Roses. Yeah, that first album is legendary, did a lot for hard rock music, but man, they've been riding that debut album for the last 30 years.
Right on.
Band I think is underrated, Uriah Heep. Still out there killing it. Their last like 6 albums have been amazing. They still don't get any recognition, so that's my pick there. Band I love, Deep Purple. Band I can listen to over and over and over again, anytime, any day, no matter what mood I'm in. Jethro Tull. Band that made me fall in love with music. Kiss Alive did it for me. 1976. Band that changed my life. Black Sabbath.
Yes.
Without question.
Shut up,
band that surprised me. I kind of took this as a band that. I'm surprised that I love as much as I do. And as I've gotten older, I love them even more. Steely Dan. I can listen to Steely Dan. I just love Steely Dan to death.
Yacht Rock is in the house.
Definitely as we've gotten older. As we've gotten older, you get it.
Guilty pleasure. Barry fucking Manilow. I write the songs that make the whole world sing. Yeah, baby. Band I should have seen by now, but haven't. But I'm actually taking care of that Thursday night. I've never seen Merciful Fate before, and it's happening this week. Finally,
we're all going.
We are all going.
We're all
going.
Most of us are going.
That's right.
The good ones are going.
And favorite band to see live, I've seen them more than any other band. I think I'm at like 25 or something like that, and I love them. But one of the reasons that I go to see them every tour, sometimes twice a tour, is because they play different set lists all the time, and that's Dream Theater. So there you have it.
You are the proud guy.
Boom.
Wow.
So there we go, everybody. We've taken the challenge. So all of you watching at home, you've got all the questions. Answer them down in the comments below. All right. And we'll see you next week here on the Hudson Valley Squares. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, all together.
All the damn
time. For Bryce, for Chris, for Nick, for Rob, for Butch, for Karen, for Ryan, and for Mr. Count Ralphus himself, I am Pete Pardo. Good night, everybody. Have a good rest of the week. See you
87
tomorrow.
minutes, Chris, under the wire.
Oh.
Yeah, right in there.